The NFL season is interesting because unlike other leagues where losing 1 or 2 games isn't really that big of a deal, in football it can mean everything. 2 games can be the difference between a playoff team and one that has to rebuild. So how come week 1 is often so confusing for fans? There is a ton of speculation in the results that we do see. A lot of people write off players way too quick, and a lot of people are way too high on some. All I know is that this year in week 1, we got to see one of the most ridiculous games in a long time. Without underselling what the rest of the year has to offer, this might be one of the best games this season. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it just flat out is. When Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson go at it like this when they're at their best, it is a treat to watch. It's 2 superhumans. Allen threw for 250 yards in the 4th quarter alone, rallying the team when all was thought to be lost and pulling through with a historic comeback. He would finish the game with 400 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air and 2 on the ground, with a completion percentage of around 70%. Wow. When you talk about game-changing performances, this is what Josh Allen provides. He's, in my opinion, the most valuable player in football because of moments like this, where he can completely flip the script and just take over. He might not be the technically best or the best at one particular part of playing the quarterback position, but in terms of value, there are few players in history that can rival what this guy is capable of doing on his best day. Something that sucks about NFL discourse, and particularly when you praise Josh Allen, is that a lot of fans start to think that you're disrespecting Lamar, and for me that couldn't be farther from the truth. He was 14 for 19 with 209 passing yards, a rushing touchdown, and 2 passing touchdowns, one of them being a ridiculous one-handed grab by DeAndre Hopkins. Even though the Bills' defense did manage to get to Lamar a couple times this game, his pocket extending and rushing ability is ridiculous, and now he has the throwing skills to back that up. He's no longer one-dimensional, kind of running through the offense in slow motion, passing where he can. He is a lethal pocket passer who has that running ability on top of that now. I think he's almost becoming a better passer than he is a runner, and that's a scary reality to think about, especially if he can keep it together in the playoffs. On that same note, with a running back as talented as Derrick Henry on the roster, it seems like it's almost default that his quarterback has to be, Ryan Tannehill, who's, to all his credit, was great, but is definitely no Lamar Jackson. So it's even more insane to think that this is the backfield for the Ravens. Derrick Henry on his A game is probably the most ridiculous athlete I've ever seen. Last night he had 182 rushing yards, 18 carries, and 2 touchdowns. Despite a costly fumble that would end up being huge in the Bills' comeback, just watching this guy is ridiculous. He produces so much, and honestly, so does everyone on the Ravens. They are a true super team now, through and through. They got a lot of heat for their defense in the 4th quarter, but that's more so Josh Allen's greatness than it is a weakness on behalf of the Ravens. Roquan, Madubuike, Nate Wiggins, Kyle Hamilton, Yair Alexander, who didn't play great but still is a great corner. Mike Green, as terrible of a person as he is a great player, and this team is just flat out great in general. It means that this year going into the playoffs, there is all the more pressure on Lamar to perform. For me, there are no more excuses for this guy. If he can't put things together again, he loses out on a chance to cement himself as one of the greatest quarterbacks the league has ever seen. Sure, he might be able to demonstrate that in the regular season, but he has got to be able to elevate his play in the playoffs and secure wins for his team down the stretch. On Twitter, Justin Herbert, despite being one of the most impressive quarterbacks that I've personally ever seen, gets slandered for being an if man. And if Lamar can't pull it together, he's going to start to become one of those quarterbacks that gets slandered the same way that Justin Herbert does. Someone that's not a playoff riser, but a regular season merchant. And honestly, with a team this good, I can't even really defend it or excuse it anymore. For the praise that Lamar gets, he has to show that he's not only willing to take over a game, but elevate a team that, especially a roster with this much talent, to a Super Bowl at least. Both of these teams managed to combine for nearly 1,000 yards, so in such a tight situation, it confirmed my belief about the Bills. Keon Coleman played out of his mind. If that's not a breakout game, I don't know what is. He had 112 yards, 8 catches, and a chaotic highlight play where he caught a deflected ball in the end zone. Honestly, throughout the entire game, but especially down the stretch, he was huge for Buffalo, and Allen relied on him time and time again to come up with some serious big-time plays. Cook, on the other hand, definitely struggled a bit more on the ground against a smothering front seven on the Ravens, but he did manage to put up 58 receiving yards, with 51 of them coming from a huge play at the beginning of the fourth quarter to really pull the momentum in favor of the Bills. Palmer was a great addition to this receiving room, and Dalton Kincaid managed to reel in a touchdown as well as a crucial chains-moving reception with 5 minutes to go. With all of that being said, the reason I feel so much more affirmed in my opinion is the lack of consistency I saw from this team. Was their performance ridiculous? Does it cement Josh Allen as the top quarterback in the NFL? In my opinion, absolutely, for both answers. But it's kind of hard to say that you can rely on this game in and game out, especially in the playoffs. Betting on breakout performances is a very risky game, and the Bills cannot keep doing this if they want to see real playoff success. At the beginning of the game, the offense was struggling and could not do anything to prevent Henry from carving his way through the defense on the other side of the ball. If I had one opportunity to ask the Bills coaching staff a question, I would ask them if they are confident betting on their defense to create such a massive play down the stretch in the playoffs. It's a ridiculous ask and a ridiculous situation to put your defense in, where you have Derrick Henry and say, you got to make this guy fumble or stop him for 4 straight downs. And while they manage to do it, it's much more likely that next time they play, that's not going to happen. And while I can't bet against them for creating a play, it's not like they did a bad thing. You just have to be realistic when you look at this team and say, is this more of a moment, or is this something that they can continuously produce, especially come playoff time? My issue is that still, after everything that's happened, Sean McDermott's Buffalo Bills have a tendency of falling asleep during their games and waking up right before the game is out of reach. It works great in the regular season, and it makes for some of the most entertaining football you'll ever watch, but it's not playoff caliber. They lack consistency, and that's why they haven't made it to the Super Bowl. It's why they struggle against Kansas City, and why they still can't get over that hump that has been standing in front of them since Josh Allen emerged as a top-tier quarterback. In our eyes, yesterday's game only really confirmed that all the more. Is Josh Allen a top-tier quarterback? For sure. Are the Bills a team that is capable of winning a playoff game? Absolutely. But the problem is that I don't think you can continuously bet on them to win when this is how they do it. Ridiculous comebacks are fantastic, but they are not sustainable. You want to see more from this Bills team going forward. You want to see more consistency and more of an effort across the board. With all of that being said, though, it's time to switch perspectives to talk about the Titans versus Broncos, and specifically Cam Ward. Our video about him got a lot of backlash, and it makes sense. It's a pretty hot take and against a lot of traditional philosophy when it comes to draft rules, but I think part of it is because of how we explain the argument. I do think a lot of people misinterpreted what we were trying to get across. I will be the first to admit that on Sunday, Cam Ward proved that he is much better than Will Levis. But I don't think anyone was ever arguing otherwise. Despite people thinking that was our take, Ward's God-given ability to put the football wherever he wants was completely apparent and proved anyone thinking that absolutely wrong. Even though he dropped a complete stinker stat-wise with a 7.4 QB rating and 12 for 28 with 118 yards, I actually really like what I saw from Cam Ward. He was honestly really, really good. He showed that he is probably going to be better than my original expectation for him, and I'm happy to see that. But my criticisms were never directed at him. They were directed towards the Titans organization and roster, and I am now willing to double down on them even more. Even though Denver's offense played garbage against the Titans, that defense is one of the best in the league. In my opinion, it is the best in the league. Benito showed that he's worth $30 million, and if anyone had any doubts about PS2, I think it's safe to say that he's going to be elite for a very, very long time to come. With that being said, though, this Titans roster is still really bad. That doesn't change anything. They were held to -2 yards in the entire second half. How? They gave up over 100 yards in penalties, and receivers were not open at all. A lot of people defended Cam Ward by saying that part of the reason for his incompletion percentage was because dropped balls, but to be honest, receivers were just getting locked down, and Cam had to place the ball in a very difficult spot every single time. The offensive line was completely unable to stop Denver's pass rush, and the Titans just played trash. They were unable to find the end zone, and to be honest, it says a lot. I can see a ton of games this season going like this for Ward. Maybe not getting dominated to the same extent, but I highly doubt this Titans team is capable of stringing together better performances continuously. If I could remind you all of the main point from my Cam Ward video and the reason why I think they should have went another direction in the draft, it has nothing to do with him. There are just so many holes on this team. They are such a long ways away from building around a quarterback. I feel like it only makes sense to build up the situation and get ready to develop someone instead of trying to hit a home run, because there are so many problems and I don't see them getting solved anytime soon. Thanks for watching DNA's recap of week 1 of the NFL season. We actually posted 2 full-length videos about this topic, or both of these topics, so you can either click the link in the description or head to our channel to find it from there. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested, and also let us know any feedback about what you'd like to see us do differently or any changes you want us to make, because this is a new series that we're probably going to introduce to the channel, so any and all feedback is very appreciated. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.